So let me read this out for most of you who are unable to read this. So the title of this panel is Whither from Here? Where do we go from here? How could the team sustain itself? How could the team sustain the momentum that they have built today? And perhaps look to influencing a larger research community again. That's one question. The second question is, what is the road ahead to be able to sustain that momentum, to be able to create larger research communities around the work that you have done? The third question is, what are some examples of related initiatives that the government should consider undertaking? Which is to say, how can government in general and ITI in particular help define that road and help you move along that road to sustain momentum, to build a larger community of research people in the areas that you work in. So let me start not from this end, but from this end. Okay? Madam, would you please put your thoughts together? And please limit yourself to about 3 minutes or so. Right?
Okay, thank you, sir. As for, I am Padmasai, representing Virtual Assistant Project. So we are very happy with that. But actually we are facing, so even though we are having different stages of implementation of project, assessment should be done for each team. So only we are submitting plan of action. So we are not validating that one. Validation also required. Then we can see how far all the project is implemented team-wise. That is one. And more in-house training. As our college is a private organization, I am representing Vienna and Jyoti. Now government is having intention that only government institution can solve the problem. And funding also, whenever we are applying for any funding also, they are seeing only more funds to government organization and all. They are mostly discouraging private organization, I feel for that. Many applications, whatever we are having, many, even though we are having
let me make a suggestion. All the panelists, any questions that involve government in a very central way, just wait for a few minutes because our MD is arriving and it will be much more expedient, much faster for you to get a response once he is here, which should be another 15 minutes. So let's do the non-governmental things first. But do remember to bring this up.
So I think the point that Hare is making is that the third question up there on the screen, the third question, which relates to government, and their support. Let's hold on to that till the gentleman walks in, the gentle lady walks in.
So then maybe you can reduce the time per...
So 2.5 minutes.
Because then we can go another round. Sorry, I don't mean it that way.
okay, I request Abuja sir, not only actually we are developing some healthcare, now rural India is suffering a lot in healthcare domain. Whatever we are developing, any institution, whether it may be private organization or government organization, there is no synchronization between medical colleges and private engineering colleges. If government makes some policy so that whatever we are developing, it should be useful for our country. That is my concern. Thank you, sir.
So I am Aman. I am from Arunachal Pradesh. I am representing the cognitive team. To answer the first question, I would say we have had a lot of positives from this project. Mainly, the first one I would say would be the interdisciplinary research that started. Earlier, I'm from computer science background, so I don't really work in the physical layer and all this. But now we are kind of forced to do that, and it has kind of broadened my horizon. So I do look forward to working in such projects again. And then because there were a lot of institutions involved, so this multi-institutional theme actually worked quite well for us, for all of us I believe. For people like us from institutes not really well known, we did learn a lot of things from my partner institutes. So I hope to see this trend continue beyond the project also. Coming, sir.
One is to sustain the momentum. Right?
Sir.
You could either look to external agencies such as the government or ITRA, or look inwards and ask as to what is your institution, your department, your colleagues proposing to do to be able to move forward with the research that you've done.
That's true, that's right. So, third point I would like to point out is the PhD students, research scholars we had quite a lot, I think around 17. And with the current framework in place, we are hoping that we'll be able to make many more PhD scholars out of this project, even beyond, beyond, it's about to finish now. So beyond this, we still look forward to having more research scholars working in the same field. So this is of course beyond the project. And I think, yeah, that should be all about related to government initiatives. I mean from the central. Yes, I think we'll do it later. Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, I'm Divya, representing CATS. So I think there are two things that we'll be able to do. One, since as I mentioned yesterday, most of our solutions are either in the pilot deployment stage or we have the prototypes. So during this ITRA project, we discovered that we have a lot of scope for collaborating with institutions like IIT Kharagpur, IIT Bombay, PECTEC and NIT Durgapur. This was discovered only while during this ITRA project. So we all got together and we had applied for a project under Imprint MHRD, which was primarily for implementing what you have already developed. So there was supposed to be no research under these particular call for proposals, and fortunately the group of 4 institutes, we have been able to back the project and we are just waiting for the funding. So I think we'll be able to take most of the work that we have done, we'll be able to take it ahead. And the second thing is, incidentally, in Punjab Engineering College, a Smart City Operations Center has been established by Chandigarh administration, and which is a local government, and we have got 4 crores for that. So now we have delayed our mobile app launches, which we were planning to do otherwise in January. Because now what we are planning is that we are going to integrate stitch all our modules together in one single mobile app, and whenever the government is ready, I mean, they have already shown all support to us. But we need a lot of support to be able to incentivize the citizens, especially during the initial phases of the mobile apps, so that the utilization of the mobile apps is high. And so I think we are just a bit delayed, but we'll be under the Smart City Operations Center, we'll be able to launch most of our mobile apps and make it factual and take everything ahead. So I think our momentum will be able to continue. The only request that we have to make to ITRA is help us be able to sustain PhD scholars. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Pushpendra from Human Science team, IIT Delhi. So we have already submitted few proposals to continue. So one was Indo-UK call, which we gave the presentation day before yesterday, and the another is under the ICPS call.
This is UK. This is UK process.
No, I don't think it was under UK. It was just an EPSRC call for Indo-UK projects. And so for us, we also have a Center for Artificial Intelligence last year. So energy was work will primarily go into that. And any of us who got PIL are member of the center, so we will be writing more proposals to get extra funding for the energy work through the center, where we also have more support. And for healthcare work, we are planning to submit 2 proposals by the end of this month under the DSP Extra Moral Research Grant Scheme. So that is our plan for sustainability. Road ahead as far as for products are considered, so in the healthcare, where we are developing the Sangosti platform which I showed you yesterday. So the next set of deployment would be in August, and then we will are in touch with NRHM, etc. So hopefully if that works out, then we would like to take that forward with the help of NRHM. We are also talking with Maulana Azad Medical College, because they handle all the public healthcare work. I mean, a good amount of public healthcare work within Delhi. So with them also we have a proposal under submission to ICMR. So if either one of them comes through, then that will provide us the financial support, plus we also have a field partner from the medical side. So energy, we are already well set with genetics as a partner, as well as now we have a collaboration with Tata Power. So that is our another partner where we could take the research.
So in terms of working with other institutions, newer institutions, so MAMC is one such institution that's in the
Yeah, so MAMC is where we have just submitted proposal, yeah. So that's
any other that you foresee?
So another institution that we are now working with also AIMS. So AIMS and MAMC have been added, and that sort of, these new collaborations happened because of the work that we did in the ITR. On the energy side, it is mainly a collaboration with Tata Power, because Tata, now we have a very good connection with one of our BOG members, is the head of the Tata Power. So that gives us
I am Niloy Ganguly from IIT. So, thinking about what Whither from here, I just want to summarize what we got from here. Small things, what we got. I think the best thing which I have personally got from here is very good friendship with many people. So this is one first thing I will cherish. Maybe the entire 6-member team will not stay. We have some projects with some of the teams, and that will stay, maybe the entire, but the friendship which we developed is something which we'll cherish, and we'll also always like to do work together. But there is no bad feeling going back that never in my life I will work with this person. That bad feeling is not going. Second is, I think I have learned to respect people a lot. Respect people who have a lot of constraints and have to work under that constraints and have the energy and the will to do work. Which many times when you look from very far apart, you think this guy is not doing anything. But as soon as you go on interacting, you understand the constraints and you see the good thing about it. That's the second thing which I will take, and that would also, I think, motivate me or all of us to do something together.
So what happens to the millions of lines of code that you and your colleagues have written?
So we have put everything in GitHub. So everything is in GitHub and everything is on open source. So I think we didn't have time to present those things, but we have done it systematically.
So as far as you are concerned, you're done.
Almost, yeah.
If you don't think that there is a stage 2, all this effort that has gone in, right, all that, there is a pipeline of other people who will review all of this and build upon it a new system, perhaps addressing other needs.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope that, and we'll also go on working with various projects, some projects which Divya was telling. So but the first stage is done. We have put it up systematically in GitHub. Every of our teams have put it up. I didn't have time to present it, but this thing is done. So now we have to think how to more popularize it, more champion it, make others use it. So one very important thing which we are pointing out. So one very important thing which we are pointing out, which we are learning slowly, that other like US institutes build up their code, put it up there, and then people use it a lot. So that culture we don't have. We develop something, then for as it is the code written is crappy, so we want to put it under the carpet. So that is our culture normally. So that is one thing which in our team we talked and we told that everything has to be put up. But the next stage, that popularizing it, putting up in a good website and seeing that people use it, and also we use it for our, because we will use it anyway for our, but we have to have some contribution to the community, that community from DSAM or for ITRA, this is the contribution to the community and people should use it. That's in our plan and we will execute.
So if ITRA was to propose a phase 2 for this project, would you be happy to?
So you have already told what are the things I have not done. I want to do that in phase 2.
Provided there is sufficient money. Sufficient money coming in regularly.
That's enough.
Do you suggest a way of ensuring that everybody's code is decrapped, meaning it's not crappy anymore, but it's centrally available? What would you suggest as the modality in which we should do it?
Now putting, at least we can put everybody's code in GitHub. That is the minimum thing which we can. And put it up, there is a tree, we have a tree sort of architecture where everybody's code is there. So that minimum thing is easy. So that you should
But you should also have the readme file and the code with the comments. Otherwise, its usability even by the same team is very good.
Also reference to the research paper only. Code and reference to the research paper.
Without readme file,
without readme file, without these things. So that will finish up before the
President.
Thank you. I'm Setu Rao. I'm a co-PI in the micronet project. So in terms of the next steps, one thing we are in the process of doing is to scale and operationalize the solution. So we have now chosen 10 boards to, we haven't done the presentation yet, so some of you, the project may not be that clear. So about the project, the fundamental goal of the project is to provide internet connectivity to the marine fishermen who go a long distance into the seas and stay there for several days together, up to 5 or 7 days or one trip. So they are completely cut off, isolated from the mainland. So we have come up with a cost-effective, a very key point is it has to be cost-effective because these are marine fishermen, pretty much at the lower rungs of the ladder of society. So that's what we come up with. So the proof of concept has been done. We have conducted 6 field trials in the Arabian Sea because our campus happens to be located right on the coast. So we could use we used up to 4 trawlers in one trial, and in one hop we could get a coverage of about 50 kilometers from the shore, and then using subsequent hops we would extend it to another 20 plus kilometers and so on. So anyway, we go into the details in doing the presentation. So now we are in the process of getting 10 boats equipped with these required CPEs and access points and all that. So then they'll be running them on a regular basis. Right now we have the trawling ban, so once the ban period expires, I think by the end of the month or something, we'll have these boats collecting data for us. And so at some point we'll have like an operation network of a reasonable size in Kerala. And the other thing that we have been doing on a kind of a regular basis is publicize to a reasonable extent the work we are doing. One thing that we did recently, September 2016, we had a launch which involved our chancellor and then with one of the fishermen on city situated on one of these boats. So because of this, we have found that there is more of a full kind of thing happening, in the sense people who got exposed to this potential stakeholders, they've been talking to us to involve us in applying a similar solution for potentially other applications. The Indian Navy, for example, we've had a couple of conversations with them also. So they are interested in trying this out with some of their naval ships. And then, and some of these things happen from the ground up. Somebody from Ada who was present during the launch, he came and said, I can help you make a proposal to our organization. Can we look at a similar solution for inter-aircraft and aircraft-to-ground communication? So these are things we want to look into in the future. NPOL in Cochin is another place where we have interaction with them, and they are also interested in the solution. And so the other thing is, now that we have the network in place, we have to think about what are the, of course, with internet available, any app that you have on your smartphone, these fishermen will be able to use for their boats. But having said that, we can also develop some targeted applications which will be useful to the fisherman community. So that is something we are going to be looking into, developing more and more apps which are specifically targeted to that community. In terms of the academics, there is a whole bunch of student involvement in this project, and this is also.
So I think we need to focus on where we go from here.
Right. So the main focus for us is the operationalization and scaling, and then deployment.
So
on a
let me
large
ask the
scale.
question. Today you have this network running across 10 boats.
Yes.
Right? What will it take to make this 10,000?
Yeah. So that's a very loaded question, right? Even with these 10 boats.
And then, of course, I'm assuming that you will not do it.
Exactly.
That
So
people would be able to buy these boxes
Correct.
from a local shop and install it and configure it by themselves.
Exactly.
Because you will go from 10 to 20, maybe to 30, maybe to 35,
Yeah.
and then you will run out of steam.
Yeah.
Right? So it has to be a way by which the fishermen themselves find a solution to the problem.
Exactly. So
With
the
the technology you developed.
Yeah, so one good way to have this scale would be to have these societies of fishermen running these networks by themselves. So we will train them, set up a network for a community of let's say 100 fishermen in one community. So once we have a few communities trained like this, then they can kind of manage and run their network by themselves, and that's what we're targeting. This 10 would eventually turn into one community, which will be kind of self-sustaining. And once you have proven that that model can work, we can even go to the local government and say, hey, this can be scaled.
Just on that question, given the fact that people from other agencies such as the Navy are talking to you, they want to talk to you, would you focus on addressing their needs, or would you focus on taking this application and making sure that 1,000, 10,000 fishermen use this facility?
So there have to be different teams working on, I view them as different projects. So for that project to be spawned and to be running, it has to be another team which can be again mentored by the same people, but it has to be a separate team and a separate project. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say was, this also helped in getting the students from partner institutions and getting them to work together. So there are several instances of the research scholars from our partner institutions and our institution working together on projects related to this.
Yes.
I'm curious, when HRD Minister came for this demo, I was wondering, did you recognize the support of ITI for this project?
Oh, of course, yes.
So it's important, for
Yes,
the
sir.
government to know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Nadish from the Decongesting Networks team, so Decongesting Traffic Networks team. So I can't speak for the PI particularly, but what I think the project further needs is it's right now it's in a modular form. Like you have 3 or 4 different things that are going on in the project, but getting it all together and having an application of it of sorts, maybe integrating it with Google Maps or whatever, can help this project move in a direction which is very usable.
So those are possibilities. So have you and your friends or colleagues attempted to define a roadmap for yourself as of now, or it is still in the works?
I'll just take that question, sir. He's just my colleague. So basically, the decongesting traffic network, once they started, even though in modular forms, it opened up a lot of more basic problems and applied problems, which 3 years seems to be a very small time, because even particularly in my project, there are so many effects that could be analyzed even deeper, and which kind of would pan out in whole other directions, like effect of signals, or what happens when there is a flyover in a road, or what happens when there is one odd driver, how does it affect the entire traffic. So effects like that starts, we realize that we can analyze such things using our simplistic models, and which similarly even our colleagues share that kind of roadmap in the future in their models. And also the fact that this is funding given to research institutes where PhD people are involved. I feel that 3 years is a shorter time, because most of their research, the results start coming out later end of their time, and so a couple more years would be better, and probably another version of ITRA would be a way to go, at least in our project. That's what.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Nandini Mukherjee, PI of Remote Health Project. Yes, so first of all, I would like to thank ITRA for giving this opportunity, because we have worked in several research projects earlier also, but in this case, we actually, in addition to research, beside research, we also got the opportunity for working in the areas like outreach program, curriculum development. So that actually helped us a lot. Particularly, most of us are from state universities where there are not much fundings for such type of activities. So when we worked in the outreach programs or in curriculum development, so actually there were several components, and we could integrate those together and could actually contribute in this particular field of healthcare. So when we submitted the project proposal, our basic objective was just to build an infrastructure for providing facilities for continuous monitoring of the individuals, and also for primary healthcare services in the rural villages. So gradually, actually, when we continued the project and also implemented our health kiosks in the villages, initially all the requirements were not clear to us, to tell frankly. So initially those became clear to us, and now actually I can say that we know what are the requirements for this particular healthcare services. So those are clear to us. So that is one point I wanted to make here. And what happened during the last 3 years, obviously, yesterday we have presented our kiosk application, but that is just an application based on the existing technologies. But in addition to that, in all the universities and the colleges who are associated with us, they have done research work. 17 students, they did their research works in different fields. Till now, it has not been possible for us to integrate all those research outcomes with the applications which we have implemented in the field. So that work is still remains.
So if I have to understand,
Yeah.
you built these 3 kiosks, right? And they're running fairly well.
Currently, there are 3 kiosks. They are running fairly well. We have developed an application for those, but there are many other research components.
So I'm coming to that. So are you then suggesting that the way forward for you is that you will do this, you will redo this application while
No.
you will redo the application while integrating all the research that the other scientists students have been able to do.
No, there are few things which I wanted to mention here. One point is obviously there are some components which will make our present application more efficient and robust. That is one part. Secondly, there is a point of scaling up this particular. Now we are running three kiosks, but that's not sufficient in a state like West Bengal. If we can scale up this for up to 50 kiosks, then obviously that would be much better for us.
So let me ask you a question. What will it take?
The third thing, yeah.
What will it take to expand the number of kiosks from 3 to 300,000 covering the entire country, not just West Bengal?
Yeah, if we just think in that way, obviously the 300,000 we did not think that we thought only up to 50 kiosks, but we actually what we need till now, we could not, basically the seed fund, some funding for setting up the kiosk that is needed.
So it's very obvious that your university, and the 3-4 universities that you're working with, are not the ones that are going to set up the 50 or 30,000 or 3 lakh kiosks.
That's not possible.
Right? Actually, setting up is perhaps easier. Running them,
No.
innovating upon them for decades together is a bigger problem.
Actually,
What
we
is the solution that you have in mind?
we started working with an NGO. So that is one thing. So that NGO supported us for running these 3 kiosks. We also talked with the panchayat in these villages. So panchayat, actually we could not run one kiosk in the villages unless the panchayat, we got support from the panchayat in that village. We also, the NGO with which whom we are working currently, they received some support from the government of West Bengal for generating employability among the health workers. They are providing training to the rural girls for this particular program. So that is one thing happening, but that funding is not for the kiosk setup. So for running the kiosks, actually we need the help, support from the NGOs and the hospitals. Actually, I will give more stress on the hospitals. So I also talked with.
One thought that is emerging in my mind is perhaps the next several months, you and your colleagues ought to be putting together a picture for how to install these, how to build these kiosks, how to install these several thousands of kiosks in every month. This can't be done over the next 1 hour.
No, but that cannot be done probably on behalf of a university. If
You want to think tank.
yeah.
It has to be done by somebody else.
If we can work with some of the organizations like, say, for example, NGOs or hospitals, like I approached to some private hospital, also government hospital. So if we, because you see, our focus, I already mentioned, our focus was only on primary health care. Now, once it is, the support cannot be given through the kiosk for primary health care, the patient needs to be referred to for secondary or tertiary health care. So unless there is a hospital at the back end, it is not possible to maintain the ecosystem in this case. So that is one point. And the second, actually, I wanted to make another point. We are also working for continuous monitoring of individuals. So that is another component which we need to focus on in the next phase, continuous monitoring of the patients when the patient is in home. So we already have some works done for that particular case. So that also we need to now develop and bring that to the implementation stage, because till now that is not at the implementation stage. So actually what, yeah, so.
I think we need to conclude because we have a guest up to Mr. Arjun, would you like to introduce the guest?
So just, shall I just say one line or? Yeah. So yes, actually
And before concluding, what I wanted to mention that we are approaching other funding sources also, and so if the project can be extended, the current project, if that can be extended for some more months, because till now we have not, if it is stopped just now, then the kiosk program and everything will be stopped. So that is my first point. Secondly, also if there can be another phase where we can carry out the things which we have felt necessary at this stage, then those things we can submit as a proposal or we can continue with a similar work. So that these are the 2 points I wanted to say.
So before we continue with the panel, I would like to introduce our guest who just arrived, Shri Sanjay Kumar Rakesh. He's our MD and CEO. When I say our, I mean Media Lab Asia. You know, as you very well know, although I tend to forget, many of us tend to forget, but you know, ITRA is an assignment, a project given to the ITRA division of Media Lab Asia. From METI's perspective, it's a project, time-bound project, given to what is now ITRA division of Media Lab Asia. And Media Lab Asia is a society under Section 8 set up by Ministry of Electronics and IT, so METI. A company. So this company is headed by Sri Rakesh. His background, he is an engineer from IIT Kanpur. So, okay, I guess. But then he became IAS and currently a joint secretary in the Ministry of Electronics and IT. He just started with us 2-3 months ago. I mean, it's been very good for us because we have found a channel, a more effective way of communicating with the department, because our project is under Media Lab Asia. So it's been really very, very helpful to us. Now, as the panel continues, I'm sure he will have comments, and if you have any questions, specific questions, this will be a good time to ask. Would you like to say anything?
No, I would like to listen.
But before we resume, just for your information, so far in this meeting, we have had each team make half an hour presentation of highlights of what they've done over the 3-year period. Highlights over the. And then we have had 4 panels completed. And those panels are meant for to probe the teams, or for them to comment on certain specific questions. First one has to do with questions, their experience, their difficulties, how they overcame them, what they propose for future efforts of any of ITRA kind regarding research. Then the second panel was on societal impact. Third was on capacity building. Fourth, this morning, was on ecosystem. And in each case, we had panel members sitting here. Now here, for example, you see 9 people. They are from 8 teams. One of them has 2. So in each case, we have 1 representative from each team. And they are getting an opening statement on those questions. And then after that, the chair opens it up for public open discussion. So this is the format in which we have done this. And we are video recording this so that we can convert this into a document that would help, you know, this investment that has been made in ITRA to use the maximum results and give us the most feedback, so that we can either ITRA or for that matter any other effort that happens in the future will benefit from that guidance. So, Professor, the panel members are Dr. Manjunath from IIT Bombay, Professor Tom Binford from Stanford University earlier, now in Bangalore, Professor Sunil Kumar from San Diego State University, Professor P. N. Jain from former Vice Chancellor of BITS Pilani, but even before that, IIT Delhi. Ravindran Kaliappa from SUNY City University of New York. Sayan Shanu, then Ave Ghosh from TCS, and P.K. Reddy from IIT Hyderabad, IIT Hyderabad. And we have already, who left? Yes, Shiv Kalyan Raman from IBM has left already, and Satish Rath from Xerox Bangalore has left.
Still in Xerox or the
Yeah, he's just left. I mean, these Bangalore people, you never know them.
You can't say that.
As long as you're in industry. So with that, Nandini from Jadavpur University, and these are students, and I must admit that, can you just name yourself? Alfred and Natish. Yeah. They are in decongesting project from IIT Madras. It includes IIT Madras, Chennai Mathematical Sciences Institute, Earth Science Institute, and Trichy. Setu Raman from Micronet Project of Amrita University and the team. Niloy Gambari from IIT Kharagpur, Pushpendra Singh from IIT Delhi, Divya Bansal from Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh, and of course, Amrita Group, and from the and then Padma Sai from Veena Vigyan Jyoti Hyderabad. So with that, let's resume the panel. I'll give it back to the chair.
So I think there was one small question that we sort of set aside. We said that we could discuss that question once you were here. And the question is, the third line out there, what are some initiatives that the Government of India, ITRA, should consider launching so as to allow these individual groups to sustain the momentum that they have, and the huge momentum they have achieved, to sustain the momentum going forward. So, I think Professor Manjula...
Can I add a supplement to that question and say, what are the roadblocks and hindrances the government in India produces should be lifted? Can I add that as a supplement also?
So I think we will start once again from this end, but we will need to be very, very quick and short. Right? My suggestion is that we limit ourselves to 60 seconds each. Right? Because we do want to hear Mr. Rakesh talk about his, share his thoughts on how to take the ITI projects forward as far as mobile computing is concerned. Please.
My colleague will.
Okay.
I'm Narayan Rao. We are part of the workshop assistant team. So it actually comprises IIT Hyderabad and VNR Vigyan Jyoti Engineering College in Hyderabad. So VNR Vigyan Jyoti Engineering College is a private organization. So one of the concerns what we had is that when the funds get allotted, the private colleges are getting very small amounts when compared to the government colleges. It seems like there is a perception that the government fund has to go to only the government institutes. Okay, so maybe the perception need to be addressed, because I think the whole intent of ITRA is to lift the research and capacity building in the second level institute, just not primarily with the primary institutes. If that intent has to be addressed in its true spirit, obviously the funding has to really flow into the organizations in a appropriate distribution. That is something which we want you to kind of consider.
I have a very common question, I guess, among all of us. We would love to have more such opportunities where we can do, more collaborative research, the way ITRA was framed at the beginning, and of course, till now, that has been the main objective. So, can we have more such projects in the same line, or maybe the ITRA can itself be extended for a few more years, not months, because Nandini ma'am was saying a few more months, that might not be very practical. Yes, yes.
This project.
Yes. So we would love to have, this extended or something similar going for, next few years. Thanks.
So first of all, I would again like to reiterate that this had been the most pleasing and enriching experience for us to work in a project like ITRA, very, very different from rest of all the projects that we have done so far. And I see three things which can happen possibly. One, as we have gone through the journey, there are students and faculty who are still passionate about research and may not be really enthused by or entrepreneurial roadmaps. However, some of them might really be pretty interested to open up startups and follow that line. So either ITRA can have about 1 or 2 years where the focus is only on implementing, doing pilot deployments, doing rollouts and operationalizing what has already been done through research, and the budget heads could only focus on these particular activities. Second, if IT already has some kind of incubation schemes, so probably those incubation schemes could be extended to these particular themes, because most of the work has now taken a very, I would say that the outcomes are tangible, and with little more hand holding we can really take a great shape. Third, I think there was already inbuilt as a part of ITRA was being able to support startups through VC, so that activity could continue, so that all those who want to actually have startups, those students or faculty, they can take these initiatives ahead. Thank you. Yes, I have been reiterating again and again and again. I would really like to request that 3-year time is too short for PhD scholars. Sir, we humbly request you to please support the PhD scholars. It has all been their hard work, and please help us sustain our PhD scholars for their scholarships. Thank you.
I am Pushpendra Singh from Human Science Project. So, about one thing was that liaising with other government organizations. So sometimes we need data which government organizations had. So I had the experience of working with DIFTS. It did not work out. And then again the same thing we are trying with NRHM, for example. So maybe the ITRA can help put its weight behind it, that this is an 80-funded project, and NRHM etc. should be more receptive of the results. Another one is that we should be allowed a little bit freedom in the budget, so that some of our partners are like NGOs. So who cannot be officially a partner of the project, but they do a lot of work. So maybe we can hire some staff on their behalf, at their place, not at our place, that we can still do. So some sort of flexibility where some money can be transferred to them in exchange of the time that they are devoting for our project. And the third is simple, just making the flow of the funds both timely and smooth, so that will help you.
Exactly. Sorry. I have 3 submissions. One is what I understand from everybody's thing, and I also have felt our group that maybe a 6 months extension without any without any cost may be given, because this is a collaborative project and many things has to be wrapped up. So if that can be done, that would be great. Number 1. Number 2 is, there can be various sorts of support, but one support which would be very good or which is needed is the entrepreneur support. So there has been people who have done some sort of entrepreneurship. So can that be supported? And that can become a flagship contribution for the project and for the activity. This is number 2. Number 3 is, this is a criticism. Please, ITR has given a lot of things, but why it has produced a lot of what we say is unpleasant situation is because actually we have been promised more than what can be given. So give people less, but give what has been promised. So this is very important, that it's not that you have to give many things, but for further projects always give what has been promised, promise less.
I think many points have already been covered by other speakers. So currently, as I said, we are focusing on operationalization and scaling of our solution. So it can help in terms of context, even if you go to the PhD students, that was what before. Because some of the PhD students kind of joined the program later, maybe even in the third year. So for them to finish their work, they can be supported through that term. And thirdly, again, in terms of setting up the contacts with other organizations, stakeholders, IDRA has been helping. Actually, Dr. Arun Pandey was instrumental in connecting us with the state of Maharashtra and see if they can use our solution in Maharashtra. Such initiatives are really helpful in getting us in contact with other government organizations. That's it.
Yeah, so my only few suggestions, or one suggestion would be that like instead of only trying to integrate research in science and industry, view should be looked at to integrate also social sciences, because they will surely determine what form of product can take and like make it actionable in the future.
Just one more point to add. So basically, like my colleague said, that involve social groups also into the program. I would also insist that, like what we had discussed in the previous panel, that involve a lot of these startups and big companies also in two different ways. I mean, I'm incubating new companies and involve with the big companies in a way that it would be a mutual benefit for each other, like a win-win situation. And that would, yeah, basically a win-win situation.
So actually I already mentioned that there are two things which we requested, we can request from the government. First thing is from ITRA, first thing is extension for 6 months, I already mentioned, and secondly, if there can be a phase 2 where we can actually integrate our, we can do our, I mean continue our research to find solutions to the problems and challenges which we discovered in the first phase. There are many problems and challenges which we discovered in the first phase when we really implemented the programming in the field. So that's one thing. Secondly, obviously the integration of research with implementation. So these are the two things for which there should be a second phase. That is one point. Thirdly, in the first phase, we suffered, mostly yesterday there had been a lot of discussion on that, international travel support. Because we are from the state universities, we don't have any international travel support. So our students, they were prepared to go abroad and work with the mentors. We have 2 mentors from USA. And there are other people also with whom we collaborate. But because we don't have any international travel support in our universities, we could not send our students, and they missed the opportunity to work with international mentors. So, and see the environment abroad. So I think that would have been really beneficial for the students here. So this is just, I wanted to add with others.
Thank you very much. I think over the last day and a half, several other suggestions have come, and perhaps these have not been voiced in the last 10 minutes. Perhaps these could come up later in the day, or if they don't come up later in the day, Professor Ahuja perhaps has taken note of it and will share those concerns with you at an appropriate time. So I will now request you to please share your thoughts on the past, present, and the future of ITRA projects focused on mobile computing, mobile communications. There are 3 other areas.
Good afternoon, everybody. First, I apologize for being very late here. Today I was scheduled to be from the beginning, but courtesy in India, in traffic, I am here. It's early for me to give opinion because before knowing things at least reasonably well, it may not be quite appropriate to start telling something. I have heard you for just 10-15 minutes, and this is my first interface with this PRSG, and also I think I have 2-3 meetings with him. I'm just new to this organization actually. So concerns have been voiced. Now, how things are going and all, I had come here with the out of more of a listening how things are going, where it's moving, how all those who are involved think of the future and the challenges. But I think a lot of wish list and lots of issues have already been thrown. To best of my knowledge that I have, I'll try to push a lot of things which I have. Okay. So the few things which I can tell you right now is I'll try to, but more communicated will discuss. The few things is that as it stands, the project is going to close. July 31st, July 2017 is the project. I'm also told by the division in the ministry that closure does not mean that it's a full stop. It only means now getting to the consolidation phase. Compile those what work you have done and where is the way forward. Whither the words. Okay. I think whatever you were discussing, that's the precise way forward where it will go. So while the project as of now comes close, the consolidation part which you have said, some of our companies, that will continue. So building on that, and whether some of these research outcomes can be converted into separate projects and get funded from other institutions, including making, can be explored. So that's the job that ITRA team should have with you, that if initial research has matured to the level where it can be projected as a project, either to concerned ministry or to the Beatty or to some other organization, then it should be done. Because now that research has gone, if it's useful to the society, it's useful for the country, now the concerned ministry or Beatty can take it. So that's the one way which I request the ITRA team should work, that whichever project research results have come to this stage that there can now be, like, I'm not much aware of the remote health project only for a few minutes. But if it's the 3 kiosks are running well and there is a need to expand whether to 50 or 300,000, now this can be worked with the ministry and the state government's health department. And if support is required, that support may take it definitely. Providing the linkages and providing. Another group came that NRHM support is required. Another came that Maharashtra support was given. So those supports, of course, it's our job to put you in contact with the government machinery, knowing the government perhaps better than what you know the government. We can definitely come chip in where you require the government support. We can work with you, explain things and work. So that part can definitely be done. I would also request that, I also discussed with Professor Ahuja, like wherever, whatever outcomes you have, if you can patent it, get it done, or IPR claim can be filed, please file it. If you have any issue or problem with that, support. Definitely the ministry or ITRA can support. So that's the second part of it, and this is the period where your result outcomes should come. Now, ITRA project, whether it will be extended 6 months, 2 years, more new projects would come, and this experiment, which is unique in a way, I'm told in the country, it's a unique effort. Different academic networks are. It's the network kind of, it's working as a network. university on every issue that it works. So that, now the new secretary has also come, we had a round of discussions. Now Professor Ahuja, I could not find the last 10-15 days because he was away. So the governing council meeting has been now organized. So I already talked to the secretary now that don't get the date then. So that's what he said. Don't promise more, promise whatever you promise, deliver. And that's precisely the issue. So we will work on. So the this governing council meeting will take it up. Whether new topics should be introduced, some new areas should be explored, existing area, which 2 areas still remains unfunded and unstarted. Whether we go with that, so that issue we will. So as of now, I don't want to give anything and preempt that, but certainly that will be discussed. Then I'll just add on the issue of giving the incubation and entrepreneurship a startup. I think I wanted to tell for this from my side because that effort I did not see when I met the ITRA team in isolation in Delhi. Whenever I think 2 rounds of review meetings we had. We want this project to result into incubations and a startup. We have the incubator support system. We have one in Delhi, we have one in Patna, we have one in Kochi. And all these incubation centers, if any of your research person or anybody wants to get incubated with the idea, is most welcome to contact him. We will make sure that he gets part of the incubation center. If you want to go physically, you can go physically. We have in Delhi person working from Bhubaneswar. He has come, he has set up. The incubation center has the facilities which are available free of cost. It has the industry mentor who advises. That incubation center in Delhi, we are working with ISA, Indian Electrical and Semiconductor Association. There is the industry body which does it. Please do it, because that's one of the desirable outcomes of that. And if it has so happened that you have reached to this state of startup in this sector, please let us know. Let Professor Ahuja. We have a fund system, venture capital funds, which partly we are also funding, and we have tied up with at least 22 venture capital funds. We are funding them partly. We can put you in touch with them, explain the concept. If the idea is good, if they get impressed, your job is done. If they don't get impressed, because we can put you in touch, your idea has to be sold. Somebody has to, who puts the money has to feel that it will come out. But facilitation, etc., definitely we will do. So if anything comes out, I will be very happy to have the list.
So many of the universities have their own incubators.
Very good.
And I think it's very natural for faculty. So many of the universities and colleges, not all of them, but many, have their own incubators. And I think it's very natural for faculty colleagues to do a startup while being housed and supported by those incubators. And so I think we do need to keep this in mind. One of the major issues that they will of course face is the venture capital. So I should think that there will be a way by which they can connect with the startup funding the government of India is already.
That's precisely I'm saying. That's precisely I'm saying. The government of India, let's say in another ministry there is a startup funding system. In our own ministry, we are funding the funds which invest in startups. So the funds which we are funding,
It's not tied up in these 4 incubators.
no, that's a cross. It's a 22 funds which we are funding with a total investment of about 10,000 crore is being proposed, and it's open to anybody in the country. Incubation center is altogether separate issue, because that comes up when your idea is not mature. So So you want to test the idea. So there the incubation center gives the free of cost all facility, mentoring, everything that you get the prototype, develop the idea, get a business model. So once you have the business model, you go to the start. But if somebody has a business model and an issue, it goes on. So it's not. Only thing we need is, of course, ITRA, whoever is there, so the team need to work with them, give us the contact details, and then we tie you off. Lastly, I think which issue I is that PhD continuation. We have that in mind, that even if project winds up, those who are already enrolled, their program will not come to an end. They will continue with the research projects, continue to get funded, and complete them. Of course, new entry will not be there, but those who are working, they will not be left on middle. So that fear should not be. So that's the what is as of now.
So can you give a timeline of that?
Timeline of
when this will be issued?
this order to be issued.
Yeah.
That would come after this governing council meeting. When there were discussions in principle issue, but to formalize and give in writing, meeting of governing council has to take. Unfortunately, last 1 month there was a change of guard at the top. A new person has come. And fortunately for this ITRA, he is aware of the ITRA initiatives.
So can you at least give us a writing that this will, you are looking into this, and because after the project ends, then at least we can talk with our departments that.
So President Miller is suggesting is that he needs to convince his own director more you need to convince your administration to allow your PhD students to continue.
Yeah.
Right? Till at least the time that you formally get a letter from the ministry for 2 years or 3 years.
So that is what we need, because see, 30th July is ending. Now, at least if you give that this will take place and we are looking into it and it will be formalized in the governing council, then at least we can go to our institute back and tell this is coming. Can you support this for the time?
But then ask this ITRA. Second in command. Have we got any communication from you people regarding this issue? You have communicated. No. Now we are getting into the legality of the formal government communication.
No, so at least multiplied, we have sent the entire cost, assessment and everything.
Okay. Has this been put up?
Formally, it was to come to end of 31st July. As for the project approval, it was for 3 years. Then
No, I'm not involved.
Yeah.
I'm only on the issue of continuation of PhD program of this project till the PhD is completed.
No, there is no commitment at all, sir. That is the point that you have not.
I'm not into the commitment. Issue is that they are saying they have sent communication requesting for clarification that what will happen to the PhD students once this project comes to the close.
Yeah, sir, this issue has been coming up in the last 2 review meetings, the third time. But all the time we have given the clarification.
Have you put up in the file?
We have not got anything formally in writing from anywhere. These are all discussions.
Professor, now it's you. They communicate with you and your team, and इसलिए मैं ITRA का ढूंढ रहा था वो कहाँ है? क्या नाम है? गौरव.
So the requirements were collected from all the teams and the budget.
Issue is not the requirement. Issue is in principle approval.
No,
the requirements comes at the second part. First, we have to take in principle decision that project may come to the close. The students who are pursuing the PhD will be assisted till the PhD is completed, or about 5 years. Right? That's the issue.
So tell us what has to be done.
Yeah, actually we got a letter from Dr. Dave, in fact, saying that this should be done, and then we have sent all requirements about how much residual purity we need, how much money we need for coming up to 3 years.
You have got the request from them?
So we had asked for the estimate is what.
Oh, yes.
So,
Please, I think it has gone in a different route. They say the issue that we have to take in principle whatever the requirement as many students, their time it will take up. So we work on that.
yes, we are working on that.
When do I get the file?
So we were planning to have it in the governing council, but it got delayed. So the file is already ready. The point is, it has to.
I commit to the extent that I'll make sure that file comes to me.
If something, we also may not know all the legalities. So tell us what has to be written from us, we will all.
No. For you only this fact is to be written that when the project closes, what will happen to our students? We have 2 students or 5 students who have 3 year, 2 year, 1 year left. That's all. That is, please move the file, give me a file Monday itself. We send it every day. So that's we had the informal talks where it was agreed to that the students will be allowed to pursue and complete their program. Now the proper formal communication, as you said, because it had not come to me formally. We have not followed up. Now that it has come, the issue has come, we follow up and communicate. But I hope before 31st, we will give you communication.
Yeah, thank you.
Very nice.
No, I am finished. I would like again to go back and listen from the very interesting discussion that was.
Add something.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, our experience in participating.
Okay, I think I was involved when the projects were selected, and I think it's a pleasure to see the transformation and the kind of community that this project has engendered and brought in. I think that's probably a unique experiment, and to the extent possible, this idea and attitude should be sustained, and the momentum should be carried forward. But I think I'm always concerned about the kind of roadblocks that the government puts on with its restrictions, and I think here is an opportunity which I don't want to miss to convey my hard work in some sense. I think among the things, many of these I'm going to reiterate and try to summarize probably a little bit more forcefully if possible. One is that I think every time I've been on PRSGs or any other review committees, etc., I've always noticed that the government treats private institutions and public institutions very differently. And I think that attitude should change. If you want the private enterprise to contribute to the education sector and the research sector, separating them out and treating the private institutions in maybe I should even say stepmotherly treatment or even worse, should change. I don't think that is the way to promote research. And the examples of the way these things are treated is that they are not, severe restrictions are imposed on the way they spend their money. Their overheads are essentially negotiated down. It doesn't work. I mean, I think expecting an institution to contribute to research is not, I don't think is the right thing to do. The government should provide that. The other important thing that I keep harping wherever I get an opportunity is that in many of these research projects, both for students and for the faculty involved, an important aspect is disseminating the research that they conduct among a larger population. They want to talk about it in many places. If we don't talk about our research, nobody will know that we are doing something interesting. I mean, there are just too many people speaking simultaneously around the world, and unless we go around speaking regularly and speaking loudly, nobody is going to worry about or look at what we have to do. Essentially what I'm driving at is when somebody wants to go abroad or even go to a conference, it has been one of the most difficult experiences for any student and any faculty to go to a conference abroad. I mean, just to give you a comparison, a contemporary of mine who is in a comparable university in the US will be attending anywhere from 10 to 15 conferences every year. For me, what the government gives me is of the order of 1 or 2, and in a project like this, the amount of work that I have to do to get even 2 or 3 for the whole team is a nightmare. I think at that, something has to be done to change that attitude, that conferences, going to conferences is an important part of research. If you want to do world-class research, we have to talk about our research in world-class venues, and going to world-class venues has world-class costs. And if you don't want to provide that last leg, I don't think expecting something more is right. I mean, I think, you know, and just to give you the example of ITRA, it was, I think, one of the biggest attractions for many of those who participated in this project was the international travel would be simpler and easier. It didn't happen that way, and I think that is probably one of the biggest heartburns that the participants had. Again, I'm not a participant there, I'm on this side, so, or rather somewhere in the middle, so I'm not sure where I am. But I just want to convey that sentiment. This is a sentiment that I've experienced all along. There's some reason or something that the government of India thinks that whenever we go to a conference, we have a party there every day. No, we don't. Okay, we listen, it's a boring party where we listen to about 100 talks or whatever is the amount of talks that happen. Yeah, in the evening we probably go out for something that the government doesn't pay. So, but the point is that, you know, that attitude has to change. I mean, to the extent possible, I want to keep harping on that. And so, the other thing I think is that, you know, again, if you don't want to demarcate money for that explicitly, there are, I'm sure Professor Jain suggested a very creative way. There are several creative ways. Accountants are creative in our country especially. I'm sure we can find a way to permit those travels and such expenses. They are routine all over the world, and I think putting roadblocks on that has probably been the biggest. I'm sorry? These are all transparent ways. Nothing pokey about it. Yes. I mean, it's just creative accounting. I mean, I read legal and creative. And, you know, yeah, creativity for research is, creativity is part of research. So you can do research in accounting. The other, I think, is also, I think in this case, in examples that I would probably, I mean, I think again, summarizing some of the stuff that I heard, we need mechanisms to sustain beyond the project. So I would probably suggest that you have 2 parts to any project proposal or any program like this. One part corresponds to delivering something specific, and the other part is to support students beyond the duration of the project. Essentially, the PhD students, they come in over time, and again, probably at no cost or low cost. You should have mechanisms in which people who are involved in it, they also have to get their degrees, which requires additional work and additional time and a whole lot of other stuff. So maybe that should somehow be enabled as part of the scheme, saying that, okay, you deliver me on this date, and beyond this, you know, continue your students for 1 year or 2 more years or however that has been. Again, that has been asked for, and I wanted to sort of make it more explicit. So these are sort of my feelings on how the government can help out in doing this. Again, to reiterate, I think this was a wonderful program which has built a community, and I don't think that I don't think I've seen such energy in other such endeavors of the government.
Mr. Binford, would you like to say?
Professor, evaluation. I evaluated it. I said, I saw some what I thought were effective and other elements how to solve the problem. One of the problems that we solved was faculty, institutions, leading institutions. Another is the environment at universities. And I've been impressed
Just hold it.
So consequently, we did not do research in the US, which has been heavily in America. And let's see.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Okay, how's this? So as a consequence, that research environment did not have much, let's say, enthusiasm, vitality, energy, because there were no people in it. And this was the secondary universities, the BINs in this project. The situation was even worse because the faculty did not have a lot of motivation. So these were things that I thought had to be dealt with, improved, solved for India's progress. I think India has gotten a lot of, okay, this is, okay. So they've gotten a lot of, so they made a lot of progress, but they still have a lot that depends on Indian innovation. And for that, we need people who are these people. There's clearly been a lot of it. What I've seen since 2001, since the beginning of it, is dramatic. And especially in time around the projects for startups that did a lot of encouragement of startups, working with people from the startups. So I congratulate Professor Aguja, all of you who participated. Substantial progress. Impressive.
So I couldn't agree more with the very, very senior colleague and very renowned professor, Tom Linford. So I have known Professor Ahuja for last 12-15 years in US. And when I heard, and actually I heard from Ravi when we were at Air Force Research Lab about 3 years ago, he said that, I was asking him, where is Professor Ahuja nowadays, what is he doing? Because I had lost touch with him after he was at IIIT Hyderabad. After that I lost touch for some time. And he said, oh, he has started an initiative in India. And then I learned and I contacted Professor Ahuja, and I was so thrilled to hear that a professor of his stature from Urbana Shanti, where he was a distinguished professor, a chair professor there, and such a well-respected researcher has taken retirement, because in America professors need not retire, right? Unlike India, we don't have a retirement age. We retire when we want to retire, right? So he left his job and took this initiative here. And then I met him here and I saw him struggling with the government system, because he was mainly, his experience is mainly from US. The system is very smooth, there. And then I attended the panel last year, first time. I could not come before that because there is no travel support available, again, even for experts. So I normally come to India in summer, visit my family, and then I took time off and went to Hyderabad. And this time I'm here. And I saw the panel in Hyderabad first time. And I was really, I never expected that such an accomplished and diverse panel can be put together last year in Hyderabad, there were 5 researchers, senior researchers from the national and international research labs, from IBM, from Xerox, from HP, I think also, or Motorola. So in US, when we have panels, NSF panels, DoD panels, we don't have such a diversity even there. So there was two professors from US on phone. 2 of us were present in person and senior IIT professors. That's a very, very diverse and accomplished panel, and the kind of feedback we were giving to the projects was also actually unique. I do a lot of projects for DoD and NIH and NSF in US, but we don't have that kind of rigorous go back and forth actually. And such diverse teams of different institutions. So that model is there in US, like Muri, and there are some like NSF ERCs and Muri, but those are very big grants, and only very top institutions participate in those grants. But most of the time, you don't have this interactive and rigorous system of pairing the top institutions with the medium level with the lower level. Because in India we have the problem of quality research, right? And luckily the number of PhDs has increased in the last 10 years. Before that, even IITs didn't have many PhDs in electrical and computers areas, but the quality has not. When I look at China, I wish sitting in US that we have that same kind of research in India, in my motherland, the way China has progressed. So I arranged a talk by Professor Ahuja to Indian community in Los Angeles, and like these are very accomplished people, and we have a forum, we have a think tank. Like how China could progress in last 30 years from where we were compared, basically at the same level. China has gone so much ahead than us because they knew their government focused on exploiting the Western system and Western knowledge and got the training from there. And today they are competing and they are planning to beat actually US and other Western countries in the research. Why can't we do that? We are equally intelligent. So Professor Ahuja's effort at ITRA is really a wonderful pilot. It couldn't have been, you couldn't find a better person than him, and it couldn't have been a better implementation than this, given the environment. Luckily, unfortunately, the support, because of the governmental systems, and whenever you do something very new, there is a lot of resistance in any system. It's not just Indian system, in any system, there is a lot of resistance. So, it's good that you are, supportive of this, and you know the government, so you know the government system. And really, the Prime Minister comes to US and says, oh, we want, Indian community to help out. We cannot give you anybody better in academics than Professor Ahuja to contribute to the country out there. And when I talk to my other colleagues who are like very, very accomplished in top universities, and I tell them Professor Ahuja is in Delhi doing this, they are surprised because they say in India, I was in a conference in the Power of Education at UC San Diego, one of the top institutions, and its director is Vice Chancellor actually. We call it President. He is one of the best known professors in robotics, and he's Indian also. And he said in India, the problem is you go work with this government for 3 months, secretary changes, and then you have to start again from the same. But this is the complaint of multiple professors. It doesn't matter what you do, the cycle comes back. So this is the frustration the researchers have. So there are many professors in US, and I'm speaking from US because I'm there. Many of us want to contribute to our motherland because we feel, we got education, we feel for it, the way Professor Ahuja feels. And we come here for our family anyway. We want to contribute, but there is no way. We visit the universities, give talks, but other than that, there is no mechanism. And Professor Ahuja has really created a mechanism where he can invite. And many of us come here only because of him, because there is no support. We just come because of him, because he is asking. And I asked this to this multinational researchers last year, these managers, Shiv Kalyan Raman and Satish Rath. I said, why do you come? Again and again. He said, when Professor Ahuja asks us, we cannot say no to him. That is the stature he has. That's respect. Because that respect comes through sadhana. And research is a sadhana and personality is a sadhana. So he commands that respect that, someone like Professor Tom Milford, is coming at this age to these sessions. Every time he's coming here, spending his time. It's very difficult to get people like him coming to these sessions. So I close here. It's a little bit longer because I feel strongly, emotionally about it. Thank you.
One concrete comment I have is about industry participation in these programs. As I moved to the point, in the US, small-scale industries, they take a lion's share of the grants and contracts in taking the research forward at the second stage. This goes through multiple stages. I think the current stage is the proof of concept. The concept is improved. Otherwise, they will not have come this far. But it stops there. Then nothing stops there. There's always a tomorrow. So we take the future work to the next level. I think the industry participation is important. And as Professor Jain pointed out, the scale. India is a huge country, very diverse, and even 300,000 kiosks is not sufficient. So
600,000 villages.
How do you reach that scale? Obviously, universities cannot do that, and even startups cannot do that. So there has to be a transition path where the industry participation slowly gets integrated, and eventually that takes over. That's the comment I have. One point I miss in the discussions today is there are mid-level industries in India like BPL, GE Healthcare. There are many healthcare industries in the medium level. At some point, they have the resources to take this to the masses. So I guess at some point they have to come on board in some ways, maybe the third level, fourth level. So that's the point I have. I want to comment on that. Otherwise, now all the groups are doing excellent work. It has a huge societal impact. But the university's role stops at somewhere, and it has, the industries have to be brought on board in some seamless way to take it forward. That's my comment.
Yeah, so I'm the first time I'm attending this workshop, and I was very impressed by the quality of the projects. And some of them do have good societal impact, but obviously they need to be carried forward. So I support this request for continuing this because I think there is strong potential in many of them. And another point that has already been expressed, and I want to share this because I feel the same pain as well because I'm just starting out. I'm into the IIT system only for 3 years now, which is support for international travel. It was pointed out, I just want to stress it again. It is very important, and at least we all aim to publish in good places. We all want to put our work into places where other good people are visiting. So unless we get that support, it is very hard to get. We may do good work, but it will be buried under somewhere. We need to give it that exposure, and that happens through the conferences, and also we bring more ideas. So that is something that we don't get much from the government, and I think that is very, very important.
Professor Ghosh?
Yeah, as it's my first time as well, and it was good to see so much energy, as well as it's very good to see multidisciplinary research in here, because most of the projects I've seen, especially in India, they are like silos and departments, but mixing multiple disciplines, multiple universities, this is a good start actually. And I support the notion that we should bring in social sciences and basic sciences as well, because they bring in a different school of thought into research.
Before you take over, I do want to thank the two of you, Sharon and Avik, really coming to our rescue at the last minute. We really thank you. This is your big great
I guess I must close this panel. Before closing, I'd like to thank Mr. Rakesh for spending his time and being with us. And I also want to say that I share the anguish that Professor Manjunath expressed, as opposed to the very thoughts that both Professor Binford and Professor Sunil Kumar shared in respect of how this program has moved forward. But I do want to share one other thought and perhaps merge the two thoughts shared by both the Sion as well as Professor. I think we do need to consider a follow-up of all that has happened in the last 3 years. I think leaving these to fend for themselves perhaps be a mistake. I think a lot has been achieved in the last 3 years. But for us to make it useful, we do need to give these teams some more time and some more funds and energy. And I would strongly suggest that we find a way of bringing industry into the process. How we bring that, I think I will leave it to the ingenuity of Professor Ahuja and yourself as to how we can make sure that the industry becomes a partner in some ways and begins to sort of own the projects and the solutions that these teams have developed. So with that, I'd like to close.
We have a demo which we are.
It's already through, so we have to have lunch.
I have just promised during lunch.
So my suggestion, Professor Gilroy, is that we will go for lunch, and lunch is perhaps going to be for 30 odd minutes or so, right? And during those 30 minutes, whoever wishes to step out and join the demo, very nice. So thank you very much.